Welcome, everybody, to the College Football Weekly Pick'em Show here on the Grueling Truth Radio Network. The College Football Pick'em Show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. If you go to MyBookie.ag right now and push in CFB Picks, you'll get a 100% cash back bonus from doing nothing at all, simply from listening to Grueling Truth and hearing the CFB Picks. So make sure you check out MyBookie.ag. I'm your host for the College Football Pick'em Show, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I want to welcome in, first up, our big winner from last week. He was tied with me for first, Brian Schmidt. How you doing, Schmitty?
OH. All I got to say.
Okay. Well, luckily there's nobody here to finish that off for you.
Oh, I'll finish IO then. So there we go.
Oh. All right. And then we have somebody that went to a school where he probably couldn't have finished spelling that anyways. For the University of Alabama, he won back-to-back national championships. Bill Searcy. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, man. How you doing? I didn't have to know how to spell.
Well, this is the thing, Bill. You know, they only teach the Ohio State kids how to spell half the word anyways. That's why they all run away and go, OH, and then the other half that they taught to do IO yells that. So
I'm just glad J.T. Barrett finally finished the game and won. So
well, and the great thing is this, Ohio State fans, even when he's thrown for like 350 yards and are down by 5 points, they're still bitching that he's the quarterback. So, I mean, this was the best game I'd seen him play since that 1991 game against Michigan State.
It seems like he's been there.
Like a 15th-year redshirt senior quarterback, but
and you know
JT
what's
Barrett
funny?
What?
It's unanimous. You never hear everybody I hear talk about him and he's a great player, but everybody says, how long has this guy been playing? Because it seems like he's been there 10 years.
Well, because he has. Didn't he lose to Tebow back in 2008?
He beat Alabama in the 76 Sugar Bowl. Come on, man. Oh, gosh.
My question is this. Right now, we had Barkley playing last night, start the game with kickoff return right now. Is the Heisman Trophy favorite J.T. Barrett, Bill?
No. Not even. I don't even know if he's not even in the conversation. It's got to be. I don't think so. It's got to be Baker Mayfield.
Schmitty?
For my money, it's Baker Mayfield, but J.T. Barrett's performances, especially capping us off, he'll get back into the conversation. But for the money, you know, Mayfield or Jackson have got to be the guys, I would feel.
Jackson? I mean, at some point you do have to win a few games too, though, Schmitty.
It would help, yeah, but that guy is pretty dynamic. But, I mean, right now my vote would be Mayfield. But, you know.
The list
I think it would be mine too, but my worry here is this. Mayfield's still got to play Oklahoma State this week. He's going to have to play TCU. You get a loss in there here or there. J.T. Barrett's just got the game at Michigan at the end of the year. And really, Michigan's not that good. I mean, he has an opportunity, I think, to win this, Bill.
I don't know. He's got to be a long shot. I mean, what about the kid, and I don't remember his name. There's a kid at Notre Dame they're talking about.
Yeah, Josh Adams.
Yeah, there's the kid at Stanford, right? Love, is that his name? Bryce Love. You know, I think those guys are ahead of the game as far as Heisman goes. But you know, who knows? I mean, I think that Alabama's quarterback ought to be in the conversation, but he's not, and he won't be.
He's in my conversation. I had him in the top 10 this last 2 weeks.
I mean, he kind of, not quietly, but I mean, he wins, and he wins with not crazy numbers because, you know, they don't throw the ball that much. But
plus anyway. They're playing teams they outmatch so much that it's hard to put up big numbers because you're pulling him in the third quarter.
Yeah, and the last couple of games he's only played a half really. So I don't know. Maybe J.T. Barrett slides in there, but I don't think so.
Well, the reason I say that is you got guys like Carson Palmer, his game against USC the one year. I mean, there's been multiple guys that put up one huge game on a national spotlight game that all of a sudden come out of nowhere. So I think it's possible. I think I don't know if it hurts him most, Schmitty, what the rest of his schedule is, or it helps. Because, I mean, there's no real standout game there except maybe Michigan.
There's no – I mean, Michigan will be a standout game, but the thing that will help him is they're going to be on national TV now. I think the way it stands up, they're going to be on national TV every week now. The Michigan game, you got the Michigan game, you're going to have the Big Ten championship game. So you're going to have him in a huge spotlight that if he continues to play well, it could very well put him in there. I still, based on performance and numbers, I don't, unless Mayfield absolutely tanks, I don't know how you don't give him the trophy.
Yeah, so he has to play bad, plus they lose. Which my thought is that they could easily lose Oklahoma State this weekend.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I think that's a hell of a matchup. All right, let's go ahead. We'll start picking the games for this week, and we will go to the state of Alabama, where the Alabama Crimson Tide, which seem like they've been off for a month now, don't they, Bill, will host the LSU Tigers. Alabama is favored by 21.5 points, Bill. You buying that?
Yes, I am. You know which way I'm going on this one. We're going to cover the 21. We've had a week off. We're coming in rested. Yeah, we'll cover the 21. LSU's defense is not what LSU's defense used to be, so they don't need to get too excited.
All right, Schmidt.
Alabama's going to win this game, but LSU is going to cover. There's no way in my mind you can put LSU as a 21-point favorite. I think that's too much. I think LSU is decent enough, and Alabama just is not an offensive juggernaut. So I think, I could see this being Alabama winning this game by 20, by 17, but that's just too much points. Too much points.
All right. I know that you're close to Ohio State, but it's too many points, not too much points. Just kind of verified what I said about Ohio State people. I would like to bring up the fact that I think LSU is not going to win this game, but I do think they'll cover. If you look ever since the debacle against Troy, I mean, they beat Florida, not that huge of a deal. They beat Auburn, which I think Auburn's a good football team. They beat Ole Miss. I think they've played a little bit better. I think they'd lose this game like 30-10, and they barely cover, Bill. The next game, we've got the South Carolina Gamecocks at the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia's favored by 22 over the Cox, Schmitty.
What are you doing? Man, that's a lot of points. But the difference being, I think Georgia is pretty darn good. But Georgia's going to win this game. I still think that's too many points playing South Carolina. I'll take South Carolina, but Georgia will win it, but South Carolina is going to cover that.
All right. Now, I will disagree with you on this one. I think the Cox are going to get hammered in this one. I'm going to take Georgia plus the 22. Bill?
Where are they playing
Bill, do you think the Cox are going to get hammered here?
I do, but that's a lot of points, man. Where are they playing? At South Carolina?
No, they're playing in Georgia.
Playing at Georgia. Yeah, I'm going to take Georgia and give the points. I think they're going to get hammered big.
All right, next up, we have the Auburn Tigers, favored by 13.5 at Texas A&M. I guess I got to go here first. I think Auburn wins the game, but I'm going to go with Texas A&M at home. No, I'm not. I'm going to go with Auburn. I can't bet on Texas A&M. Not until they fire Kevin Sumlin. Bill?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Auburn, too, just because of the way Texas A&M looked yesterday against Mississippi State. I think Texas A&M is doing what they do, and they're going in the tank. So I got to go with Auburn.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, same here. I'll go with Auburn. Texas A&M. Someone's going to be gone by the end of the year, if not before. They're starting to tank again, and this will just be another nail in that coffin, I would imagine, because Auburn's pretty good, and I don't think Texas A&M can handle what they'll get.
All right, the next game, a game close to Schmitty's heart. The Ohio State Buckeyes, favored by 17, travel to Iowa to face the Hawkeyes, Brian.
And what's the point spread on this?
17.
Oh, my God. Man, I'll I'll go with Ohio State to cover that, but I'm iffy. I think that's just too many points. But you know what? Ohio State will win this game, but Iowa's going to cover that. I just think that's too many points.
All right, you're confusing me now. Are you taking Iowa then?
I'm taking Iowa.
All right. I'm going to take Iowa, too. And I think this, coming off a win like Penn State, Iowa's a dangerous team to go play in Iowa. I mean, if you look at Penn State, it took them to the last play of the game to beat them. So I think this point spread's a little bit outrageous. I think it should be more like 10 or 11. I'm going to go with Iowa also. Bill?
Yep, I'm following you guys. I'm going to go with Iowa.
But I'll tell you what, if Alabama was favored by 127 points over Iowa, Bill would take Alabama and give the points. All right. The next game, we have the Wisconsin Badgers -10 at the Indiana Hoosiers, Bill.
I've got to go with the Badgers on this one.
See, that's more of a 17-point game to me than Ohio State, Iowa is, Schmidt.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I would agree.
10.
Yeah, I am going to agree with Bill. I think IU could keep it in this game. I think they lose this game probably something like 27-17, because in the end, Wisconsin's never proven that they are even a halfway decent team with the schedule they've played, Brian. I mean, Northwestern's their best win.
Yeah, and this is at Indiana. Not that it matters much, but man, Wisconsin will win this game, but I think Indiana can cover that. Indiana is not the worst team in the world, and
they're not very good, though. They lost to Maryland yesterday, Schmidt.
Yeah, but they're not the worst team. But Wisconsin does enough to win. So, I mean, Wisconsin will win, but I think Indiana will cover it.
All right, so you're taking Indiana here.
Yeah.
All right, the next game, we got the Wake Forest Demon Deacons at Notre Dame, who is suddenly a national contender. Josh Adams is suddenly a Heisman contender. Notre Dame is favored by 15. I'm going to take Notre Dame. I'm going to give the points. I think it's a lot of points to give. But Notre Dame's really impressed me, Brian.
Yeah, they have. Very quiet, in some ways, very quietly. You weren't really hearing a lot about Notre Dame until the last few weeks. You know, and it's made Georgia look all the better that Georgia was able to beat them. Yes, Notre Dame will cover this easily, I think.
All right, Bill.
Yep, I'm going with Notre Dame too. I think they're on a roll, and they see themselves making it to the Final Four. I don't think this game will slow them down.
All right, the next game, Bill. Clemson and Dabo Swinney, your friend, -7 at North Carolina State. I think this is a dangerous game for him again. You like him given the 7 points?
Yeah, I do. I agree with you though. I think this is a dangerous game for him, but I'm going to go stick with Clemson and give up the points.
All right, Schmidt.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Clemson.
Yeah, I'm going with Clemson also. I do think NC State's a good football team, but, I mean, the thing is, Notre Dame handled them pretty well. It really surprised me how easily Notre Dame handled them, Brian.
Yeah, it surprised me as well, but I think that's really just talking about how good Notre Dame is right now.
Yeah, but that's why it surprised me. I didn't know Notre Dame was actually that good.
Yeah, NC State's a good team, but Clemson is going to come off that loss to Syracuse, and I think they're learning a lot about their football team. Sometimes the best thing you have happen is you actually lose a game, and they're learning some things about who they are. So, yeah, I think I think it'll be a good game, but I think Clemson will cover it.
All right, next up, we've got Penn State, fresh off the loss to Ohio State, -12 at Michigan State. I'll pick this one first. I just don't think Michigan State's that good. I don't know why they were ranked a couple weeks ago or last week, but I'm going to go with Penn State and give the points. Schmitty, what do you think?
Yeah, Penn State, they're going to be pretty mad football team coming into this. I don't know that I'd want to be on the other side of them next week. that Ohio State game, honestly, that was a game where they really they were playing well for about three quarters. And honestly, I think what really happened was when Ohio State didn't panic, and then all of a sudden I think Penn State's looking up at the scoreboard going, why are we not up more when we've played well? And I think they started to panic, and then everything just kind of went downhill.
All right, Bill.
Yeah, I'm going to take Penn State. I mean, they're going to come ripping and roaring in there, looking for some revenge over what happened to them this week. So I'll take Penn State.
All right, next up, we got the undefeated Miami Hurricanes hosting Virginia Tech. Miami's favored by 1.5. I'll pick this one first. I'm taking Virginia Tech into 1.5, and I think Virginia Tech will win this game by 10 points. Schmidt, what do you think?
I agree. I think that's exactly the way it's gonna play out.
All right, Bill.
Yeah, I'm going to take Virginia Tech too. I think Miami's had a good year, but and they're undefeated. But it's time for them to lose a game, and this is going to be the one.
I don't know, Bill. I'm kind of hoping Miami wins, though, just so you can set up the Miami Notre Dame game where both teams are ranked in the top 5 or 6. Be kind of like old times then.
Yeah, it would be, but I think Notre Dame is a much better team than Miami.
That's why, if you're an Ohio State fan, you got to hope that doesn't happen. You got to hope that Miami loses beforehand because you don't want Notre Dame to have many good wins, Schmidt.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You've got to, but no, I think it'll be a good game though. I think it'll be a good game between Miami and Notre Dame, but.
Hey, and the way it's going, Bill, I mean, the NCAA could have their perfect dream season. They could have Alabama, Ohio State, and Notre Dame, all three in the Final Four.
Oh, man. I'd like to see that. I mean, that would be they would love to see Alabama play Ohio State again, but they'd also like to see Alabama play Notre Dame again. So, if Alabama makes it, it's kind of the best of all worlds for the committee.
Well, I'd like to see Georgia make it also and kick all their asses. But
it might happen.
All right, next up, it might. Georgia's pretty good. But we'll find that out in the SEC championship game, I think, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Next up, we have another great matchup. This week, this is the most good games we've had to pick in a long time, Schmitty.
Yeah, it's a good week of football.
All right, so we've got the Oklahoma Sooners and Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma State and Mason Rudolph. Oklahoma State is favored by 3, Brian.
Go with Oklahoma State.
All right, Bill?
I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take Oklahoma in this one.
And I think I'm going to agree with Bill. I think it's a toss-up. I think both teams have a tendency to have little problems in big games. I really like Mason Rudolph. I like Mayfield. Oklahoma State's at home, but we have seen TCU go to Oklahoma State and beat them by 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma, but I think the game's a complete toss-up. Now, who would have thought this? Iowa State's at the top 20, and they will be traveling to West Virginia. West Virginia is favored by 3, Bill.
I am going to take West Virginia in this one. And I don't know why, but I am.
All right, Brian.
I'm going to take West Virginia in this as well, mainly because it's at West Virginia, and Iowa State is a little different on the road than they are at home. So I'm going to take.
Did they beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma?
No, that was at Iowa State.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Because I watched that game, at least the last 8 minutes of it.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it was at Iowa State.
Hold on, we'll look it up. It's the beauty of Google.
I thought it was at Iowa State too.
Yeah, it was at Oklahoma.
Huh.
They won at Oklahoma 38-31. They won at Texas Tech 31-13. Plus, they beat Akron at Akron 41-14.
Man, I thought that was that kind. Oh man, that kind of changes my
Yeah, but you can't take in any effect anything I just said. You have to block it from your mind.
Yeah. I'm still going to go with West Virginia.
Okay, I'm going with Iowa State because it just seems to me like West Virginia, every time they get a chance like this, they blow it. And their defense was horrible against Oklahoma State. Next up, we've got Central Florida, still undefeated, ranked in most people's top 15 to 20. They go at SMU. Central Florida is favored by 14. I'll start this one off. I'm going to go with Central Florida. How about you, Schmidt?
I think Central Florida will win, but I think SMU will cover. I got to watch SMU, and that's
they're not bad. They can put some points up.
Yeah, that's a pretty good football team. I'm going to go with SMU.
All right, Bill.
I'm going to go with you go with Central Florida.
All right, you remember that time Central Florida went to Alabama and won a few years ago?
I've blocked that from my memory.
That was a cool game. I just thought I'd bring that up, just to jog your memory. All right, next up, we got another team fighting to be one of the New Year's Six teams out there, not in the Power 5 conferences. We've got Memphis, favored by 14 at Tulsa. Bill.
I will take Memphis in this one. I don't care about either one of them, but I'll take Memphis.
What an elitist attitude, Brian.
Yeah, I'll go with Memphis. Tulsa should be a lot better than they are, but
sometimes they are. But most of the time they're not.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take Memphis in this. I think Memphis is a pretty good football team.
Yeah, Memphis and Central Florida should have chances to prove how good they are too at the end of the year, but we only get 4 teams in a playoff.
Right. I agree.
Next up, we've got the Syracuse Orangemen at Florida State. Florida State's favored by 5. I'm taking Syracuse. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, I'm taking Syracuse. Florida State's horrible. What did Syracuse do? Did Syracuse play this week?
Yeah, they got blown out by Boston College like 35-3.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm still going to take Syracuse because Florida State, I don't see them doing much of anything.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to take Syracuse. I mean, just how bad has Florida State gotten is amazing. So I'm going to take Syracuse.
All right. Well, I guess that's another week. But all this seems to get more intriguing and more interesting every week. Right now, who would be your final 4 teams, Brian?
Alabama, Notre Dame. I'll put Ohio State in there right now. They'll win out, and Georgia.
Yeah, mine right now would be Georgia, Alabama. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. And Oklahoma. They beat Ohio State. I think they've got better wins than Notre Dame does right now. So I think you got to kind of include them. What do you think, Bill?
Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I think this, if Clemson wins out, I think Clemson's right in the mix with here too again.
Yeah. Yeah, they could be.
Just according to who they play in the championship game in the conference too. Because really, I think the problem for Clemson and Ohio State right now, Schmidt, is I don't think either one of these conferences are near as good as what they were last year.
No, they're not. Not by a long shot. But
and if you throw Notre Dame into that equation and you throw Alabama and Georgia playing a real close game and one of them only getting their first loss, I think that really muddies the water.
Yeah, I think it would too. But still right now, you know, we've talked about this before. I mean, what's the NCAA want to see? So if there's any possibility NCAA getting what they want, what they think is going to put eyes on the TV and butts in the seat, you know, they're going to want Alabama, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. And then, you know, you can throw that fourth team being a Georgia, an Oklahoma, and they're going to be pretty happy about it.
All right, Bill. Any final thoughts?
I think since we're speaking of Alabama, I think this weekend is really, really important for Alabama. LSU is a team that's gotten better and has, as of late, at least played pretty decent. Although they're coming to Tuscaloosa, Alabama-LSU game is always a good game. They're going to play at 7 o'clock Saturday night. It's going to be crazy in Tuscaloosa. I think you'll be able to really tell something about Alabama against LSU, depending on how they finish up this game.
I think the problem with Alabama, like we talked last week, is just the schedule so far. I mean, it's not their fault. Florida State sucked, and all these teams in the SEC are not very good. But exactly. I think if they were to come out and beat LSU 42-0, I think it would show everybody exactly they are the best team still. But if this is a 24-20 game, you got to have a little bit of questions then.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll all know if they're really legit after this weekend, just depending on how the thing plays out.
Yeah, well, I think we know they're really legit and probably one of the 4 best teams. I just don't think that we know for sure that they're the best team yet.
SEC is awfully weak this year, man.
I know.
It is. And
it was. I mean, is there a strong conference right now overall, Schmidt?
I think this might be the most parity that we've seen in college football as far as the power conferences. In terms of there's not a real dominant conference right now. You've got your pocket of teams who are top teams, then you've got your bottom feeders that are really bottom feeders.
Yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten are basically 4 good teams and everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And the ACC is like 1 really good team, maybe 2, and then a bunch of middle-rung teams. So I would say the ACC may be the deepest conference, but at the top, they're nowhere near it.
Right. And so it's been a different year with that. You're not seeing the same kind of where in years past, I mean, we've seen where the SEC would have 8, 10, teams that are really, really strong, and we've seen years where the Big Ten was 5, 6 deep. We're not seeing that now out of any of the big. And then one thing, and I think this is where the argument for a bigger playoff system comes in, is you've got the Memphises and the Central Floridas who I think are every bit as good, and they're not going to get an opportunity to show it. Where you got the NCAA basketball tournament, you've got the lower division football with the tournament, and so good teams aren't getting a chance to show what they could do on a national stage, and that's kind of sad in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's similar to if the NCAA would have never expanded past 32 teams, which I think they did in the early 80s, you'd have probably never had a Butler go to 2 straight national championship games in college basketball.
Exactly.
And they never would have gotten a chance. And, hell, they damn near won it all to 1 year.
Yeah.
But I would like to see the smaller guys given a chance, too.
I would, too. I've always said, there's been many years where the so-called smaller teams, I think, have been every bit as good. I mean, you can look back to, I think, 2007. I mean, Boise State, when they beat Oklahoma, that team was probably every bit as good as, national championship teams. I mean, that.
What about 2010 or 11, where you had Boise State and TCU both undefeated, and they left them out and made them play each other?
Exactly. So I think it's unfortunate that we have that going on because there's some good teams.
But all right, guys. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this up. I want to remind everybody to check out all of our shows on thegruelingtruth.net. We got our basketball shows. They'll all be starting up here in the next week or 2. You can find power rankings for NCAA football, NCAA basketball, the NFL, baseball. Well, you can't find them anymore because that's over, but next April you'll be able to find them again. We've got the NHL power rankings. We got the CFL power rankings. Make sure you check all those out. I want to remind you to go on and buy Bill Searcy's book on Amazon. You want to tell them a little bit about your book, Bill?
Sure. It's called High Tide, A Story of Football, Free Fall, and Forgiveness. And it's that story you've heard before about an athlete who finishes playing ball and has no clue which direction he's going, and it was all going in the wrong direction.
And then he ended up with me and Schmidt, and it didn't get any better.
Yeah, and then I end up doing this on Sunday night. So
But we also got to do an interview about that show. My football season's over now, so
yep,
we'll have to do that sometime in the next week or two, because I do want to do that. I know we keep bringing it up, and then one of us always gets sidetracked, but we got to get that done.
I want, because it's a good time to get a book and for a Christmas present for people coming up. So.
Yes, it is. So I'll get with you this week, and we'll figure out a time either this week or next week and do that. Also, check out our apps on the iTunes Store, The Grueling Truth. Follow us on Twitter, @GruelingTruth. And, of course, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Bill Searcy, Brian Schmidt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.